Have you ever heard of Jack the Reaper? This haunting story chills the spine. In dark alleys, whispers tell of a figure shrouded in shadow. Who is he? What does he want? Let's uncover this chilling mystery. People say he roams at night. His presence carries an air of dread. Why does he draw near? Those who see him often vanish without a trace. What compels Jack to haunt the living? The shadows of Whitechapel. In the heart of London's East End, beneath a blanket of smog and silence, life in Whitechapel was not lived, it was survived. By day, the streets were teeming. Women and children gathered outside the soot-stained walls of common lodging houses, the only refuge for thousands. By night, these same alleys became darker, more dangerous, haunted not just by poverty, but by something far more sinister. In the mid-1800s, a tide of change swept across London. Waves of Irish immigrants flooded into the city, followed closely by Jewish refugees fleeing violent pogroms in the Russian Empire. Their hopes for safety were met with overcrowding, hunger, and despair. By 1888, Whitechapel's population swelled to nearly 80,000 souls, crammed into crumbling tenements and filthy alleys. The parish had become a pressure cooker of human misery. Disease, crime, and hopelessness festered like rot beneath the surface. 55% of children born in the East End would never see their 5th birthday. For many women, there was only one way to survive. Prostitution wasn't a choice. It was a sentence. By that fateful October of 1888, police estimated there were 62 brothels and over 200 women working the streets of Whitechapel. Each night, 8,500 people packed into the district's 233 common lodging houses, crowded rooms filled with the weary, the hungry, and the forgotten. Some paid 4p for a coffin-like bed. Others, too poor even for that, slumped forward against a taut rope strung across the room, a hangover bed, 2p to sleep while standing. The conditions were beyond grim. And then came the unrest. Between 1886 and 1889, Whitechapel was no stranger to chaos. Demonstrations, fueled by hunger and injustice, spilled into violence. Police clashed with protesters. Bloody Sunday in 1887 stained the streets with more than just dirt. Beneath it all simmered a stew of anger and fear, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, racism, and deepening class resentment. To the rest of London, Whitechapel became more than just a slum. It became a warning. A place whispered about in drawing rooms and tabloids, a place where morality had decayed and where evil now walked freely. And then the killings began. A series of grotesque murders, too savage to be ordinary crimes. Women butchered in the night. Bodies found in alleys and doorways. The streets ran with rumors and blood. The press gave him a name: Jack the Ripper. Murder before the legend. The number of attacks on women in the East End of London during the late 1880s makes it difficult to say for sure how many victims were murdered by the same person. The Metropolitan Police investigated a total of 11 murders between April 1888 and February 1891, which they called the Whitechapel murders. While there is debate about who committed all these crimes, most people believe that 5 of them, known as the Canonical Five, were the work of Jack the Ripper. Experts identified the Ripper's unique method of operation, or modus operandi, by its distinct features: deep slash wounds to the throat, severe abdominal and genital mutilations, the removal of internal organs, and, in later cases, facial mutilations. The first 2 cases in the police file, those of Emma Elizabeth Smith and Martha Tabram, are not considered part of the Canonical Five because their injuries do not match the Ripper's specific pattern. The first shadow to fall over Whitechapel came on April 3, 1888. Emma Elizabeth Smith, robbed and brutalized, was found clinging to life. Smith was bludgeoned in the face, her ear was cut, and a blunt object was inserted into her, leading to a ruptured peritoneum and a fatal infection. She died the next day, a victim of a vicious assault that was linked by the press to the horrors that would follow. Yet, her dying words painted a different picture. She was attacked by a gang of 2 or 3 men, a detail that has led most to believe her murder was not the work of a lone killer, but rather another chilling act of everyday violence in London's East End. Martha Tabram was killed on August 7, 1888, on a staircase in George Yard, Whitechapel. She was stabbed 39 times in her throat, lungs, heart, and abdomen, as well as her breasts and vagina. A penknife or similar blade was used for all but one of the wounds, which appeared to have been inflicted by a right-handed person. There was no evidence of sexual assault. Due to the brutal nature of the murder and its timing and location, police initially believed that Martha Tabram was another victim of Jack the Ripper. However, her case is often not included in the canonical five because the killer's method was different. While Tabram was stabbed multiple times, her throat and abdomen were not slashed in the same way as the other victims. This key difference in the wound pattern leads many experts to believe her murder was not committed by the Ripper. If the Ripper didn't do these, who did? We will unveil more mystery of Jack the Ripper in our next episode. Meanwhile, please subscribe and like our video so you wouldn't miss the update.